All right, let's call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda changes and additions. We have two additions. Item G under the consent agenda, consider the approval of Nicole Van Hoosier as 6 through 8 student council advisor. And then item H under action discussion, consider updates or changes to the safe learning plan. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Carl, is there a second? Dave, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes. Consider the approval of the minutes of school board meeting from August 18th, 2021.
I'll make the motion.
Carl? Nelly? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 5, consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Carl, is there a second? Chad, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Community reports, highlights and recognitions. Nothing? No? Any public comments? You have any public?
No one is on.
Okay. School board committee updates, negotiations committee.
Got nothing.
Wild Legacy Committee. We are talking about having the walkathon during homecoming week. So that's something that is in the works right now. So more to come on that.
That's coming up fast.
That is
Yeah.
coming up fast. So we're getting on it. Community ed.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Finance committee.
We talked a lot of finance, but we haven't had a meeting.
Okay. LPAC.
We haven't had a meeting.
Nope.
No. Facilities committee.
Also no meeting.
Library.
No meeting.
SMAC.
Everyone got an email. That's what's going on.
Okay.
Read it. Study it, learn it. Love it.
All right. Bradley, financial reports.
All right, Jamie, are you muted now? Okay, so we. Not muted yet. Okay, we'll try this again. Okay, so we got the August financial report, which is, it's amazing how big a TV that is and how small everything is.
It would look huge. When I look.
But Heather printed it all for you, so you got it here too.
Thank you, Helen.
So August starts to look a little more like something than July does. But still is gonna look a little weird in the revenues. We did get some good chunks of state revenue in so far. Federal revenues, there's a accounting thing that makes that negative. We're not paying back federal revenues right now, but we don't have any yet for this fiscal year. We got to get some teachers working first. So September is when we can start hitting that a little bit. Looking at our expenditures by program, if you look at that total, 6.5% is the total versus 6.18 and 7.31. So, we're where we should be through August 31st in comparison to our prior years. Not a whole lot of interesting things going on so far in our spending. We got certain things we pay annual upfront, and we've done that like we always do. Got certain things that will hit us in over the course of the year. Haven't done anything wild and crazy like buy a school bus or anything yet this year, so. We wouldn't have anybody to drive it anyway, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, what's that?
That's,
We should talk
Um,
about that before we.
yeah, so any questions on the general fund? Very little going on with our other funds on the next page there as well. Flip the Page for those of you watching at home. And yeah, we've made our interest payment for our debt service, and that's really all that's going on in all of these other funds combined. You know, food service kicks in September when the kids come back, so. Community services, we did have strength and conditioning training went on in the summer, so. Flipping to our treasurer's report, really nice month from a cash flow perspective. The state kicks us our first kind of big state aid payment in August. Generally, idea being, even if you're a district that has no money, you can at least make your first payroll by having that good solid payment up front. So we actually picked up $450,000 of cash this month. So it's just nice to see more money. So any questions on treasurer's report? All right, I got payment register next. We've got a payment for school management services. That is me and the people that support me for 6 months at a time. Then arbiter pay, you might see that. That's a deposit into an account that we'll use to pay officials. So we're on the cutting edge with that. Where the officials sign up with arbiter pay and they get paid by them, and we just send the money and tell them who gets it and how much.
Like crypto?
Only with dollars. Just
Oh,
like crypto though.
Bitcoin. I couldn't think of Bitcoin. Thank you. That's all I could think of was crypto.
I know that.
Yeah, all right. Then if you're wondering what Illuminate Education is, they're a company that bought FastBridge, which you may or may not have heard of, but that's a testing program that we use to screen our kids and figure out where they're at for math and reading. That's an,
K11, we use it.
what's that?
K11 uses FastBridge.
Awesome.
That's for the whole year.
You're right, that's an annual license, and they may bill us more later if we have more kids use it than what we estimated. But
That's a good thing.
that's, I think, $765 per kid, I think is where they're at right now from a cost standpoint, so. Smack, yeah, we pay Smack.
Can you say that with enthusiasm?
City of Lisle, that is our annual payment for sewer and water. It's been the exact same dollar amount, I think 3 years in a row now. I have no idea how they determine it. They don't measure our water
It's a
usage.
flat fee.
So it's
I have no idea.
on some level, I think they know how much water the city uses, and we must be.
I would think we
That
should-
much of it,
We shouldn't complain.
I don't. I really don't. 5 years ago, I think I got it and I was like, what the heck is this for? And I emailed, what is it? Oh, it's water and sewer. Okay. Good deal. Thank you.
What's 12? Maybe like,
$500 a month for a building this size.
yeah, what's that?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
No complaints at all. So, Minnesota State High School League, everyone's favorite. That's our new dues figure for the year. Some real interesting numbers in how they get to that, but they raised some rates and provided some discounts and offset some things.
We kind of came our way with that, right?
Any questions on payments? Otherwise, the credit card statement is there for you if you feel like looking at that.
If there's no questions for Bradley, is there a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Suzanne? And all in favor? Aye.
There we go. You must be.
Opposed?
There you
Reports and presentations. Jamie?
So just a few items tonight. As Bradley mentioned, with homecoming coming up, October 4th through the 8th is homecoming. The 4th is actually a Monday, so the plan is most likely Sunday night. The 3rd will be coronation. And so they're working with the junior class and specifically parents on the dinner and looking at how we can, do some of the fun activities and still in a safe environment. One of the ideas is even having one of the homecoming dance, possibly even outdoors, either in the parking lot, and then that way kids can have a little bit more fun and not be, we don't have to place any specific rules over them, but so we're looking at some ideas. The parade most likely will be on Friday afternoon, be just before the game, like we did last year. That was kind of the ideal time how it worked out last year with homecoming, the actual parade being right before the football game. We're day 7 today. Our goal, as we've talked about last month, and even, our goal was to get the kids to be as normal of a school year as we could. The rules and expectations, the procedures we've put in place, are kind of are paralleling that expectation. And so Corey and I met with each of the students from 6th through 12th grade. We kind of wanted to go back to kind of what the expectations were 2 years ago. Last year we were a little more lax with COVID. And overall, the students are responding very well to that. There seems to just be the kids are happy to be here. They're not happy they have to wake up early like normal, but once they're here, they seem happy. And things are, and there is I think big shout out to the staff. We've had obviously shortages of subbing. So we have our specials, we have other teachers who are jumping in to substitute. Corey and I have jumped in, but even the other support staff have jumped in to help out when they can. So it's been a good start. The biggest issue that we foresee is the truck driving or the bus driving. Bradley and I met earlier. So, obviously the idea of do we look at possibly what can we do to, draw more people in as far as bus drivers? Is there other ideas to, how do we utilize our vans? Does that mean we even look at purchasing more vans so that because this problem's not going away anytime soon. So
Right.
even adding one more driver falling out of the sky on a white horse, it still may not save it from, be there next year. So what are their ideas? So if you guys have any ideas, if there's community members who have ideas, we're open to them. But I think, that might be looking at the van option might be, the parents have been very, we've had blue days. I don't know if you've seen some of those emails, but those are days where we have limited bus drivers. So we've made some adjustments, and kudos to Don, Julie, and Elisa and Janelle in the office who have really done a lot of late nights and work to get that established. So thank them when you see them. But the blue days have been working. We appreciate the parents coming in and helping out, but at the same time, we've had 2 teachers who are either coming in early or staying late to drive, and how long can we sustain that? So we're looking at other ideas. So we're open to anything if you guys have.
Don't you think we're gonna have to try and get creative with vans? Because
Yes,
I mean, the vans it opens up your pool of employees, driving a van versus a bus.
Yep.
It really does open up the number of people who are more comfortable driving a van
Yep.
than a bus.
What is the process? I don't know this. What is the process for getting your bus driving license?
Well, from now until February 2nd or 5th, whatever
Yeah.
day that is, you go to the DMV and you kind of follow up with, it's just like getting a driver's license now.
Okay.
There's certain things you have to do. But come February, then your additional classes. And Riverland might be one of those options where you have to take several weeks of classes. So, and they, for whatever reason, I know the intent of the federal government is to make the road safer. But at the same time, by doing that, they're making it harder for trucking companies, or bus companies, or schools to find drivers. And so there are less, CDL drivers on the road because of this. And so they're actually, advancing 2 steps and taking 3 steps back. So I think we have to get creative with the vans just to see what we can do. And it does open up because we have our paras taken on rotation on certain nights if there's ever a need. And, then having that might offer more consistency. So,
Right.
Speaking of transportation, thank you to Don, Dave, and Wayne. There was only one issue this morning on the buses during the inspections, and that one was minor.
Oh, you were there.
So, well, I was heard there's some late nights for you guys as well. So thank you. Huge kudos to you guys. Thank
That's
you.
normal, isn't it though?
So
Gotta be one.
there's that was awesome to walk out there and, within an hour he was done and
Oh,
get
that
the
was-
email. There was like, there's no violations. Then there was one little minor one at the end. So,
Awesome.
and coming soon, the student council has 2, well, they've worked it out. They have their their representatives, their officers. I couldn't think of, thank you, Laura. So I believe Olivia Hurd is the president of student council and Desiree Schultz is the VP, and those 2 I haven't sat down and talked to them, but I'll be working with them and they'll start to come to our board meetings
Oh,
and give it
good. Yay.
I want to build that tradition back in.
Yep.
And so they'll be coming and having some presentation. I think they're going to be, from what I've, in my minor conversations, they're a little, oh gosh, what do we have to say? They're a little afraid. So I'm like, it'll be fine. You'll just, we'll highlight things, just get a student perspective. So, and so the other thing I added as the safe return plan. So we'll talk about that later, but that's what I have. Corey?
So I just wanted to recap a little bit. I know you touched on, we had implemented some new expectations for our middle school and high school students this year with the planners. And we kind of went into this with, we're going to get the grumbling, we're going to get the pushback. We're going to have students who aren't carrying them around, who aren't following it. And I tell you, we have less kids in the hallway. We have students who are coming to the office and they're like, do I have to use one of my bathroom passes for this? Because I really don't want to, but I needed to get a Band-Aid, or, just they're really owning it. And this is all middle school and high schoolers who are owning it. So it's really great. We as a building are stopping kids in the hall if they don't have it. So they see us following through on that. So it's really great. I'm very proud of how they've handled that. And it's cut back on some of the other issues we were having last year. Excuse me. So that's really good. Like Jamie said, we are still looking for drivers, and I'm saying it every single time, and I'll say it proudly and loudly. We need kitchen staff subs, we need teacher subs, we need para subs, we need paras, we need a driver or 2 or 3, just drivers, period. So that would be great. Just, again, drivers. You'll notice on next month's financial report, look at me, that we have,
My thunder.
I know I'm stealing your thunder right now.
I don't even know what she's gonna say.
We've had
I don't know if you read
an
that
8th
thunder.
grade
You're
curriculum
gonna
kind of
copy.
fall into our lap. And it is in this decade.
Oh.
It's 2018 copyright. So that was very, very exciting.
Social study.
It was just a district purchased another curriculum and they didn't mean to, but they did. And so their loss is our gain because we got a really good deal on it. And they
That's
are
awesome.
excellent books. So our 8th graders have
You said
new
social
social
studies?
studies curriculum,
Geography.
Nice.
geography, correct.
Wow.
So I just wanted to recap. I made a note so I could touch base on the Fast Bridge, the Illuminate, coming back to your financial reports. I was listening. The Fast Bridge is the K-11 and it's really, everyone's tested 3 times a year. So we are doing it right now. All students are elementary is completely wrapped up with reading. Next week is math. And it's tested math and reading 3 times a year. So September, January, and then again in May after NCA testing. And we look at the growth. I personally like this test better than our state testing, because this shows where our students are, and then we can work with our students and change it as they go constantly, because there's progress monitoring involved for students who are at risk. So then, you know, the students working in our title program with our paras or our title teacher, which is what Mrs. Donaldson, that's her position. Then she progress monitors and she makes changes and adjustments throughout every couple weeks as needed. So it's a wonderful program. If you remember last year during distance learning, we had our elementary students zooming into like an intervention time where they were working at their ability level with different grade levels. Now we're going to do that here. We're not implementing it until October though, because we wanted all testing to be done, and then Mrs. Donaldson will make the groups and she'll make the schedule for that. So that's a huge undertaking that she's doing, and it works so great. I'm really excited. And then I know you approved it, but I wanted to explain the student council edition. Our 6th grade class is kind of a bubble class because they're too old for the elementary student council, the 3-5, and they're just too young for the high school. So working with Miss Heimer and then working with Miss Van Hoosier, who brought this to our attention that it's just, they need something. It's not fair for the 6th grade. I just asked, would you be interested in doing 6-8? And then we'll pull the middle school out of the high school. So the high school student council is going to oversee everything. And then our elementary and middle school will work with her so they can work with their specific groups. And Miss Van Hoosier already said she wants to bring middle school dances back.
Yes.
So already we have excitement, we have things rolling. So that's what that was. So thank you for approving that. She'll be
Awesome.
very excited. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Items for action discussion. A, review pre-sale report for upcoming sale of 2021 refunding bonds.
Here it goes. We've got with us Matthew Hammer from Ayler's Financial Advisors. And you should have the report in front of you. He brought some color ones that I had in the packet anyway, so at least Krista can see it remotely too. So
So good evening. My name is Matthew Hammer. I've been out. I was here last time when the district was holding the referendum. But I work on a team in Roseville that assists districts across the state with their finances. And one of the things that we do for school districts is monitor refunding opportunities or refinancing opportunities for any outstanding debt the school district has. So we've got some exciting news from the standpoint of, we're going to talk about saving taxpayer money instead of asking for money tonight, which is good news to be able to share as we go into the bond sale next month. So like Bradley said, we have 2 reports tonight. I brought color copies because I'm going to literally read this whole thing. I'm just kidding. So I'm going to just.
Such an afraid he was going to, actually.
I know.
So I'm just gonna highlight, this is, if you want to take this home and read it at night, you can.
If you
But I'm just
can't
gonna
sleep.
hit on the high points. I mean, the main point of this report is to point out for the school districts what our assumptions are going into next month for our anticipated savings. And the biggest takeaway from tonight is we're looking at about saving about $225,000 over the remaining life of your existing outstanding bonds. You have 1 issue outstanding, your 2012 A bonds, and we're going to refund those. They're callable as of February 1 next year, 2022. And with that call date, we can refund them with new tax exempt bonds or refinance them within 90 days of the call date. So which and hence why we're talking now, because we're going to sell this deal in October at your 20th, we're going to take bids the morning of the 20th, and then the board will award later that night. So overall, that's about $25,000 a year in savings on those debt service payments over the remaining life. There will be one more time where we're going to issue this with the market. The interest rates and the current market conditions are outstanding right now. We're actually there's record high demand right now because on the secondary market, and I'm getting a little into the weeds, there isn't a lot of movement with bonds right now. So underwriters are looking to finance or to purchase new bonds And where they have to do that is to go when districts are issuing or other municipalities are issuing new bonds. There just isn't a lot of ability to purchase bonds on the secondary market or resell them. So that's all good news as we go into next month. Right now, we're anticipating that'll be about $225,000 of savings. We're hoping we can outdo that estimate when we sell the bonds in October. And then your last payment on your existing bonds will be your February 1 payment, which you've already levied for. And then the new bonds, these 2021A bonds will be outstanding after that issue is paid off with refinancing. So with that, I've got a lot of information in here, but I can answer any questions folks have about the process. I know Bradley asked a question yesterday or the day before. You'll see coupons on the new bonds that are above the interest rates you have on your current outstanding, the remaining maturities and your remaining outstanding bonds. And the reason for that is we're in a market where underwriters are offering premium bids to purchase the bonds, which in essence, the long and short of that is they're going to give you some cash up front, which is going to allow us to reduce the overall principal outstanding on your bonds. So the true interest cost we're looking at is about 1.25% that we're anticipating that we'll hopefully be able to get on the day of sale. So with that, I will quit talking and answer any questions folks have. And then
What interest rate are we at now?
your average right now is about 2.6. So we're looking at bringing that down about a little over 100 basis points.
Okay.
The average remaining coupons that you have in your remaining outstanding principal payments.
Yeah.
Get a little higher.
So with municipal bonds, there's a separate interest rate for each maturity. So each one of those maturities that are outstanding currently have a separate interest rate that you can see, and that average, I think, is about 2.6% right now.
So how many bids do you expect to see? Is it,
We like to see at least 3. And I'm assuming we'll see at least that in your case, because you've got nice block sizes. And when we call block sizes, nice size principal maturities, because you're in the 400,000 to 500,000 range, which will be attractive when we go out to the market. And this will be a BQ issue, which means it's under 10 million, which means we get a few more bidders typically to be interested in purchasing those bonds because of the write-ups they get to be able to carry them. So we'll hope that we should receive at least 3, but I would assume we would receive more than that in October.
okay.
And Thursday typically is a good day to sell. So. Or
So
Wednesday or Thursday.
later in our board meeting, we're looking at, well, I was gonna bring it for a discussion. Our board meeting is the 20th of June, or what, June, October, I'm thinking. So, and the reason we're looking at possibly switching that is because of other things going on. Do we need to have it that night?
Well, that's how we have everything set up right now. So when were you looking to move it to?
We were gonna discuss that, but if
Okay.
we have to, we have conference that night and we have a home football game, so it's just gonna be a
Right.
busy, so.
I mean, at this point in time, from our perspective, it'd be best to keep it the same because that's gonna be what's published in the POS and what we're gonna be marketing out to
All right,
Right.
underwriters.
so
And we're kind of on that timeline, so I don't know if you're thinking about moving it up. Moving it up would be hard.
Could we just move the time?
possibly, because we're looking at,
Just
we discussed time
Yeah.
or possibly the week after, but I know the week after then he's gone and,
Time should be an issue.
Yeah, maybe just
Maybe
moving the
bump up an
time.
hour.
Right.
yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
thinking, 5 o'clock.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that shouldn't be. an
that would
issue
be,
for us.
okay,
But we'll just have to know, because then we'll
Right.
have to get all the resolutions drafted and those types of things for ratifying that sale with that new
Board
time.
meeting
Right.
that day.
Carl's available.
I don't. Is that a home game or away game?
Home.
Okay.
That's parents' night, senior night. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we could,
And I'm a parent, so yeah.
Yeah.
probably
we
be able
could,
to do
probably-
it, so.
could we go, how early can everyone make it?
Right, I know, but
I'm
yeah.
done at
How early can
Four.
4 people make? it?
Yeah.
That's- yeah.
Dave,
I
what
can be here
about?
by 4:02.
Wow.
What? I work, oh, that's right.
Oh, I want, well, then I want to see if you can make it 4:01. I want you to
I think
sprint.
it could.
Um,
How about you, Dave, with that
Yeah.
earlier?
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to go much earlier than that, because
Oh.
we're gonna get bid
We could
results
say
in the
4:30.
morning,
Okay,
and then
well,
we'll have to
Yeah,
finalize
that's
all those
Krista.
based on.
so tell us what time, the
Well,
early,
4 is fine,
okay.
but I'm just saying, any, like, if we were at noon or something like that, we wouldn't have enough time to.
Oh,
take
yeah, it
bids,
won't
get
be-
Everything together, get back to the underwriter, all those types of
I
things.
guess we we're just talking, so
Couple hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Krista, what would 4 or 4:30 work for you?
I think so. I don't think I'm back to work quite yet.
Okay.
So,
you're open then. What you're saying, you're open, wide open.
I'll be possibly open and driving. That's even better. Yay.
Oh, exciting.
It is when you can't drive yourself around.
It is, it would be awful. I'd be fun to live with. Yeah, well, shoot,
Mom, I'm in it.
Jake's calling me.
She'll be like, hi, Mom, just go on television. watch
Yeah,
it."
well, do we just want to wait? Or
Yeah,
we
I
gonna
mean,
just-
we can,
Yeah, we,
yeah, find that later.
So we're not gonna do anything crazy, that's the
no,
answer.
no.
Yeah, I will,
Communicates with them.
Yeah, so just let me know
Okay.
right away tomorrow, and then we'll make sure we get everything updated. So,
Okay.
and 4 o'clock's fine.
Oh, we
You're
could,
being
4:30 would be,
We were thinking like 5.
I don't, it's not gonna be a long meeting, right? Well, no, it's a regular.
it's a regular
Regular
meeting,
meeting.
I say, yeah, the earlier you go, then the more. time
4:30
you have
might
to
be
get
better.
out. And if you have to leave
Yeah,
right?
4:30, 4:15.
was it gonna be a long meeting?
No, I can take policies out this time. around.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
No, I love when you have 8 or 9 on there every month.
I would think
Policy.
4:30 would be.
No,
That's okay.
no, we'll do it. We can do it. I just,
4:30, like, Dave, would that be, Chad, you, or what time?
oh,
At 3:30.
Oh, you said
He can
3:30.
come
Oh,
back
okay.
as early
Conferences.
as that.
Oh, okay,
We have conferences, but it'll be fine.
It'd be 3:30 to 4, 3:30 to 7, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that will-
That's okay.
why does our board meeting always fall in MEA week? Is it-
Because
I
it's the
didn't
third
set it.
Wednesday.
it's always the, right,
Is
it's
it-
always
is
the third,
Oh, is it all the time?
It's
I didn't know.
always- yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah, that's why.
I never knew that.
It was.
Yep.
okay, any other questions?
No, I don't think so,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next month.
Yes,
Third, third.
I'll have another long report for you.
yeah. That's
Hopefully we'll have good news.
I
So we're
know.
gonna read the
Thank you.
resolution next month.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, certified 2021 payable 2022 preliminary levy certification at maximum. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Very much.
On my video this time, I forgot. You change the mute.
All right, so one of the things we get to do each September is do a preliminary levy certification. So you got this in your packet. It's gonna be too small to see up there. So with the bond refunding that we just talked about doing, one of the things that will definitely be different when we get to the final certification in December, we've got a number here that's about 507 for the debt service fund. And I believe that number will come down to about 480 if I'm I grab the right spot. Yeah, he's saying saving about 25 grand a year. So that comes right off that number. We don't need to levy as much anymore because our payments are smaller. So that's a nice kind of immediate savings for our taxpayers. Now, on the other hand, we continue to have strong enrollment growth for our size. So with as small as we are, when we add 3 kids that's 1% increase in what our revenues can do, which is a great problem to have, except reran the numbers today and our levy's up 25 grand since the last time I looked at it and put it in this report. So the levy system is just pile after pile after pile of complicated formulas of you can get this much per kid and you can get this much for this kind of kid that lives here and this much for this kind of kid that's, so it's actually a 39-page report that I've got summarized for you on a page. This is bad enough, but so what the goal is for tonight is to do what we call certifying the levy at the maximum. So on a preliminary basis, we're saying this is the construct of what our levy is going to look like. And between now and December, when we have our truth and taxation meeting and have everything ironed out and finalized, if our numbers change, like the reason it went up 25 grand was because I revised our enrollment estimates for a couple years down the road. They have a special website I get to log into and do that. I tweaked some stuff because we've picked up kids. So those enrollment numbers affect almost every single line on the sheet. So when you add more kids, all those numbers shoot up. And they're estimating what we're gonna have in fiscal year 2023. So to the extent that those estimates that I plugged in don't line up with what actually happens, then we'll have levy adjustments in the future. We've been having a lot of positive levy adjustments because I historically have tended to be a little conservative on what I think our enrollment's going to be. Well, that keeps giving us a positive levy adjustment, which gets us more money, but it means our number keeps getting bigger. So the other good news to share about all this, you're looking at a number here that's about 1.1 million for a total levy. There are pieces of this levy that ultimately don't get paid by our taxpayers. So the biggest piece of that is our debt service is impacted by an ag tax credit. So now 60% on their debt service levy. And 80% of our tax base is eligible for that tax credit. So if you take if you think of our debt service as a $500,000 levy, 80% of that's ag. So our ag taxpayers would be paying 400,000. 60% of that they don't have to pay. So roughly $240,000 of tax credit of that $500,000 number you're looking at. So it's getting darn close to half that our local taxpayers don't have to pay. Now, of course, that money comes from the state, so we know we're all paying it through tax dollars one way or the other, but it's coming from sales taxes and income taxes that are spread across the state, not just us down here. So, all right, beyond that, some other highlights. Last year when we talked about this, our long-term facilities levy had a big adjustment from the previous year. This year it's calmed down a little bit, so that levy is actually about 6,000 less than it was last year. That's line 10 there. Our CTE is our career and tech levy. We're able to levy for a portion of Mr. Hansen's time there. That one's we had a negative levy adjustment last year, and it's not as big of a negative adjustment this year. So the amount of levy is quite a bit bigger than it was last year. Other bigger movers, reemployment. So that one's kind of a weird one because when I did the levy last year, we didn't have information from the state about what local districts were going to have to pay for unemployment costs. we actually haven't paid any unemployment costs in over a year now. At some point, we're gonna get a bill, but we haven't. So last year I was looking ahead and saying, we've been paying a lot of unemployment costs. I'm gonna levy for a chunk of money here, and we did. And this year I'm levying for nothing. Cause it all seems to be covered, and we've actually got a adjustment flowing through, picking up some dollars in there. So next year, we're gonna have a big downward adjustment. It's one of those things you try to estimate 2 years ahead what's gonna happen, and the only thing I know for sure is I'm gonna be wrong. It's just a matter of how much. So last 2 years, a lot. So other things I want to just make sure I point out, our referendum is on there. That's line 4, and that does have an inflationary factor on it. So it's not a huge increase, but it's going to go up every year for that one. So questions, thoughts, concerns, any?
All right, is there a motion to approve the certification of the levy at maximum?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item C, consider adjusting the board meeting for the month of October.
So the date is still the 20th. Can't move that. But
4:30?
4:30?
I just might have to. I mean, if it goes,
We had to go 4:15. I know it's 15 minutes, but.
I'm- 5:45, I have to, like 5:30, I probably shouldn't even have to. I got stuff to do,
Right,
so I just. What time is it now?
6:40.
6:43.
So
So it
4:15?
would be better. if-
Okay,
I would just
let's-
like,
let's do 4:15. if
I don't like
everyone's okay
leaving,
with that.
but.
Yep.
I don't think that needs a motion.
I was gonna say, do we need a motion?
I don't, I think you just have to post.
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Just post it.
Yeah, we posted it.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4:15 on the 20th then.
So then,
Oh,
yeah, the next one, December,
Mhm.
you want to explain?
So worked with Miss Heimer and Mrs. Mueller on
Oh,
holiday concerts. And right now, we are using the 8th and the 15th for the concerts. We didn't want to do the 1st because that's too soon. And obviously, no one ever wants to do the 22nd, the week of, because you
yeah.
get the further into December, you get the further the weather. And if, let's say we end up with some sort of a snow day on the 15th, then we would love to reschedule to the 22nd. But what were we looking at, the 22nd?
Possibly 22nd or another day of the week. Of
Right.
the week that it is.
Just
scheduled
not the
at.
8th or the 15th. Because you're all gonna be here, because you all have kids, but for a different reason.
The other thing is that is the truth in taxation, so
Yeah.
I do need to have by,
And it can be no earlier than 6 P.M.
yep, no, there's a date I have to return this by the 30th to the county, to Freeburg County to let them know.
And we'll send that same form to Moore County.
So what would be your guys' preference?
Well, Wednesday avoids sports nights.
well, that's what I was just gonna say, if you moved it to Monday, the 13th, I don't know if there's any. Basketball games,
It's just,
Maybe like junior high.
It should be on the schedule here.
yeah, I mean, okay.
You're looking,
Mhm.
I don't know the basketball schedule yet, I'm sorry.
You don't have it memorized, Carl?
You're a head
We
coach.
plan,
Put it in your
boys play
calendar.
Thursday, Friday.
You,
Well, Chad, your girl will be playing basketball
Girls
too,
have-
so.
Yeah, girls have a game, yeah.
Varsity game on Monday.
Yep.
Would
Okay,
it, I don't know, but would it be too fast of a turnaround to do it on December 1st?
yes, I don't think that would be.
That would be very quick.
That is-
It would be.
It's been done before, but
What
Say
about,
December 1st.
I did say it.
How about,
Wow. You wouldn't have any finance reports for November.
how about the 20th?
right, I was just gonna look at
Monday
that
the
too.
20th. There's nothing on.
Nope,
I think there's basketball the next day.
what's that?
I think there's basketball the next day. But
There
Yep,
is,
the
yeah,
21st.
but the, yeah, nothing on the 20th.
Lots. There's lots on the 20th.
There's
There's a
lot.
lot.
21st, everybody needs playing.
Okay, how about the 24th?
Yeah, right. There's something on that night.
25th,
So
See you invited to the craze over, right?
Monday, the 20th, then,
let's do it.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you
All
for
right.
accommodating that.
Item E, consider approval of policy 102, equal educational opportunity.
So both this one and the next one are updated MSBA policies. Again, looking at overall litigation that's happened and other things, that's main update. Nothing really jumped out at me that was alarming, so it's just basically for both of them.
We have a motion to approve. Dave, a second. Chad, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item F, consider approval of policy 406, public and private personnel data.
Same thing.
Same thing.
I'll make a motion.
Carl, is there a second?
Second.
Krista,
Krista, all those in favor?
This is really delayed.
Aye.
right?
Opposed?
I-
G, discuss banking options, considering recent announcement of the impending closure of Sterling State Bank in Lyon.
All right, so this one's me again. So got a letter from Sterling State Bank. Most of you probably know about it because most of you probably bank there. But they're closing their Lyle branch. So that presents a logistical problem for us one way or the other. When we make a deposit, we got to take it somewhere. So it seemed to me this was a logical time to evaluate our banking relationship. Do we want to stay with Sterling if we have to go to Austin? Is there somewhere else that we'd rather go than go to Austin if, you know, it means Rose Creek or Adams or whatever? Whatever we do, I think it's gonna be a disadvantage that we've got to drive somewhere to make a deposit. We could take the opportunity to find ourselves a bigger bank that has more capabilities in terms of online banking and, you know, whatever. Those, of course, always cost money too. We could take the opportunity to find ourselves a place that's going to pay us more interest, because Sterling doesn't. With the account that we have, we've got the bargain basement nonprofit account right now that no fees, no interest. Very simple that way, but if anybody's got strong opinions, considerations, I'm very open to that feedback. Doesn't have to be tonight, so.
Okay, my question is, like, you put out like bids, you know what I mean? Like, you go to a bank and say, we're looking to switch, what are you gonna, I mean,
We can do a request for proposals.
okay, that's,
Yep.
I didn't know how to say it.
Yep.
Bids is the only word I could think,
I-
and I knew that wasn't right.
I've already gotten a template that I could use to do that if that's what we decide.
I guess,
So,
I think
I
that's
think
a
that's
good,
any.
yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good,
I guess with the bank, I don't feel like we have any ties
yeah,
to, I mean, we were just supporting the bank.
correct,
Mhm.
right.
Which is the right thing to do.
Yep.
And I was contacted by someone from the area or from town that there's been talk with some banks coming in, but that's gonna take time. So whatever we decide, we can always review it at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
and this is crazy, but you know, since we actually have some money in the bank, we actually could support multiple banking relationships with the money that we have. If say we decide to go with I think it's a Farmer State Bank that has an Adams and a Rose Creek branch. Say we go with those guys because it's the shortest drive to make a deposit. we could have that relationship and then such a time that, you know, somebody else opens up a branch here, whether it's them or somebody else, we could move our deposits back to the closest place and still have, you know, money market account or something at another place.
Right.
So the ones in Rose Creek, is there one in Austin? Is there a branch? No?
Yeah.
There's first farmers and merchants, and then there's farmers.
Okay, that's why I don't.
There's two different ones.
Well, I mean, whatever you guys, but a lot of us go to Austin. So, I mean, it's on the way. I don't want to throw it all on you guys, but
Well, and here's what's kind of ironic is that the south end of Austin there's no banks.
oh, yeah, of
So
course.
I think actually the closest bank, if we're looking at Austin, is Sterling.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
It would be,
Yeah,
yeah.
it would be,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
realistically
funny.
speaking, that Sterling State Bank location is within 1 mile of US Bank, Wells Fargo,
Tons of others.
and First Farmers and
Yeah.
Merchants. Yeah, there's banks all over the place in Austin, if that's where we're gonna
Federal,
go.
whatever.
I guess I think we throw it out there and see what comes back.
Half our population is there. Most
Right.
of the population is Austin.
And,
Wow,
and
I'm just-
realistically,
We
like,
all go to Austin every day.
from a control standpoint, what we could put in place is that we could get a locked bag.
Right,
Mm.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then that gets dropped off, you know,
Yeah.
and that drop off could be that Jamie, Corey, or I does it on our way home. It could be that one of our drivers does it,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's. Or maybe we can find a relationship where they're willing to send us an armored car, you know, to take our one bag, you know,
Imagine
whatever.
that showing up in line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Bradley, I'd like you thinking,
Wow,
but.
what's going on?
Going out to
And-
school.
And another.
Wells
thing
Fargo
that-
horse and buggies and.
Yeah. Another thing out there in the world right now is scanners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, we aren't using any tech at all, but we could have all of our checks get scanned remotely and not even have to worry about depositing that, and we're down to cash and coin.
and then,
Yeah, and there's just not much of that, you know,
I don't,
we're talking about concessions and gate receipts.
right,
Right, yeah.
And
I don't wanna
the
answer
occasional, maybe somebody
how
pays an
new we-
athletic fee with cash or something like that.
money up to the bank.
So would any, I'm not.
Right,
a
depending-
bank, but would any bank provide a service for us as parents to have direct deposit?
So
It's like to pay a sports fee or.
Oh, okay.
there's,
Wait, wait,
there are
wait.
lots and lots and lots of those, and they're unfortunately more expensive than what our volume justifies. That's why we don't have it right now.
A couple years ago, we looked at for athletic fees and actually it would cost us half of what we earned from the athletic fees. So that's why we,
Can we go Venmo?
now, if there was, some there you go. If there is something we could accommodate lunch, you know, other fees, insurance stuff and athletic, then the volume would be bigger. I don't think it still would be bigger.
And the other
but-
step back on that is that food service is free this year. And it may not ever go back to costing anything, you know, that's. I still have a pretty strong feeling that. We may never go back to paying for lunch. You know, so that was always a big chunk of our volume. In terms of what somebody could pay with a credit card.
Yeah,
Mm.
right.
So there are tons and tons of systems. In fact, Infinite Campus, our student information software has a module to do that stuff. It's just so expensive for as little as we have. Yeah. It starts with a base fee and then it charges per transaction. If it was just the per transaction, it's no big deal. You know, but the base fee is the same for us as it is for Austin. For Austin, it's like, sweet, done. Did it years ago, long time ago. For us, it's like, well, we already lose money in food service. We can't charge it there. Who's paying for this? But, you know, and that's usually not a relationship that's directly from the bank either. So that's usually third-party service providers. But
Let's send out some feelers.
Yep.
Maybe someone's willing to provide it online.
That's what I was.
Yeah, I'm,
Is there a business Venmo?
Actually,
What?
There
I mean, you
is
mentioned
for
Venmo.
PayPal
I mean,
there is.
PayPal, there's a
There is.
fee, but is there a business
I don't know.
thing that's?
PayPal.
There is, and they all have fees.
Fees?
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
if we were gonna, separate from the banking relationship, but if we were gonna go with credit card stuff, we would want to go with the Infinite Campus one.
Yeah,
Because
indeed.
the money coming in and what it's for, that's where it becomes useful as an administration.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got PayPal, here's $100 from the herds. Okay, well, what are you guys doing with that $100? You know, is your note that you put in there detailed enough so we can figure out what the heck it's for? You know, that's, but if we do it through Infinite Campus, you can have the food service stuff go straight through. You can have the activity fees go straight through. If we're billing out a library fine, it can go through Infinite Campus and all that stuff. It's pretty slick. We just haven't had the volume to support it. And a lot of areas we're trying to get away from charging fees for things too, so. All right, so I'll take that as, let's do an RFP, let's figure out what's out there, who wants our business, you know, I mean, that's. We'll see what they have to say for themselves, so.
sounds good. Thanks, Bradley. Consider any updates or changes to the safe learning plan.
All right, so after the last board meeting, went through and updated, sent out communication to parents about, the no masks or strongly encouraged masks. And then the quarantine options. Since then, working with Barb, getting some input from Carrie. We feel fairly confident with our quarantine, and unfortunately, we had to do that this week where we had to offer quarantine options to parents. Some chose to keep their children home. Majority of them chose to come back. And those kids are wearing masks. And actually, they've been doing a very good job of that. They actually, we went around and talked to each individual kid in the it was basically 7-12. And everyone, when I pulled them on the hallway, there was one, he's like, no, I don't want to stay home. And I go, no, here's the option. You have the, and he was happy to wear a mask. So the reason we put this on tonight is just to review it, what you guys are thinking as a board, what you're hearing. The mask thing, at some point, what is that number or threshold out there that we have, that once we get it, we just authorize masks. Just keep in mind with whatever that is, based on what we have right now, the mask won't change the quarantine. If you are wearing a mask, you are going to, if we do now, if the students are vaccinated or have had confirmed and documented COVID case in the last 90 days, they won't have to quarantine and they don't have to wear the mask. If we ever went to a mask mandate, it'd be across the board. I wouldn't want to play it. The teachers I know already are like, I imagine that they're getting stressed out, but okay, this person's supposed to wear masks and this ends that day. I mean, just
Yeah,
that they don't deserve to have to police
You know
that.
what, though,
So
that shouldn't be on them anyways.
absolutely,
No, it's,
They need to that shouldn't be their concern.
we're communicating out to them. But again, the kids are doing a really good job of that. So I think we communicated out so that they knew that. But
I
they've
just,
been.
I know, but
So,
that should be their worry.
But I think if we go to
Yeah.
a mass, it should be across the
Oh,
board.
yeah, don't,
So-
that'd be too.
So I don't know,
Yeah.
open it up to what you guys have been hearing, what you guys are thinking.
Just keep rolling on, it's onward.
Um,
Oh,
Hello,
what was that?
Just that.
someone's at the door. See, I just 7 days in, it's just,
Yeah, see how it's going.
I mean, just stay the course, yeah, stay the course, I like that too. That's another one, stay the course.
I know, I did mention to Jamie too, like, a couple of things that I think are important is that we do still be mindful of the distancing.
Yep,
you know? And I think it's really great that we are doing the, okay, if you were exposed and you're close contact, that you have the mask on, you know? Because there's a lot of schools that aren't doing that.
Oh, gee.
And I think that that's a good thing. That's,
Yeah.
you know,
Could-
another level of protection.
I
Because we
will-
do want to keep the kids in school.
I
you know?
will say
That's
the
important too.
probably the biggest issue that we've had is the students who coming to school, either choosing not to wear a mask or whatever, then not having one on the bus.
Yeah,
And
I'm
If
sorry,
there's
the
a-
bus thing
if
is
there
so
is
hard. I
anything-
struggle with that.
if there's anything in our financials that are gonna hurt us this year, it's gonna be the fact that we have to buy masks. And we're giving cloth masks and it's we need another, we're going through a lot.
Well,
Let's
it's,
just put it that
I
way.
know, it's so, I'm,
I got grants left and right that would love to pay us to buy masks.
okay.
Well, then I think we're gonna apply for-
There's
Yeah.
tons of grant money for
I
masks.
just, it's so, I don't know why it is, but I don't think about, like, I ride the bus once, twice a week and it's like, oh, I got my mask. So I'm digging through the cart for a mask and everyone, because it's not,
Not a habit anymore.
Nope.
yeah, it's not a habit
The whole
anymore.
summer you went.
Yeah,
Yep.
you
No,
didn't,
it's
have-
definitely no
you know.
anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it, but the only one thing I was thinking, do we encourage the kids to like sanitize their hands like every time they walk in or class? I mean, can we? I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that one. I know the teachers, depending on their.
We have it everywhere.
I know, I just,
their, um,
can we have like, I don't know,
I
like,
know that Joel's going through and cleaning
Mhm.
the fountains,
Handles.
you know, things like that. Right after, especially at the beginning of the day when the kids are coming in, so that's the highest traffic point.
I don't know.
I have a question. Is he still doing the same level of sanitation as it was being done last year?
So in the morning, he is sanitizing. I know they are going through with the wand. We can double check with him to see, you know, that, I know last year it was probably, there were some, I'll put it this way. The concern, some of it is the chemicals that we're using does damage
Mhm.
the surfaces.
Surfaces, yeah.
So there's some hesitancy on going full bore like we did last year just because of that, but I know that we have to come up with alternatives, because I know they're spraying on the buses. The teachers are spraying, you know, as best they can.
Mhm.
Like I said, Joel's on a, routine, so I think there was a lot more level of higher fear last year that they just not knowing what still was going on, so that enabled, I think.
I don't know, I
people,
just-
But
I think hand washing's I'm
but
sure
that's the
Krista.
easiest thing.
Yeah, I mean, just, I still, every time I hit it, you know, I don't know, it just. Maybe
I
it's,
don't, you know, you don't want to let your guard down too much.
No,
This is-
mhm.
It's still here.
It's
It's-
spreads
yeah,
quickly.
it's here, but.
So I mean, you know, I do think we probably need to kind of have something in the back of our minds as far as like numbers of when we would potentially look at masking up. You know, I know like, you know, our game was canceled on Saturday
Yep.
because of an issue at another school, and that school is now mandating masks. You know, so
I think when we get to the issue, we'll know when the issue is. I do. I just, you know, I don't think you're gonna stop an issue by wearing a mask.
but I mean, I guess I'm just thinking like, okay,
Yeah, but
you know,
when,
do you kind of want to say, okay, we now have 10 positive cases in school. This is the point where we kind of need to look at masking up, or, yeah, I'm just throwing that number
I
out
know.
there because I don't know what's gonna happen. you
Because
know.
in essence, the 50, last year, 50 was that number. We blew that out 4 times, you know, we were at 209. or
Yeah, I
whatever,
mean-
So I don't, it's just,
But if you're talking positive cases within the school, and if those things are documented, at what point do you say, yep, we're gonna mask up, or yep, we're going to then go to distance learn for 2 weeks? I mean, are you thinking that far out as well? I mean, God willing, that none of that will ever happen again, but
oh, I know, I totally agree with you. There's a number,
simply
but
be
I don't
prepared.
know what, I don't know what the,
Correct.
I don't know what
Right.
the situation is. And I don't know what,
well,
like, you know, I don't know.
I know with like the flu, what Barb has always, but the state request is that is it 30, there's a certain percentage, 35 comes to mind, I don't know if that's the right one, but there's a certain percentage of students out due to one core illness. That is considered, I think, an outbreak. Maybe Krista, you may know more about that than I do. It's just, I don't know if there's a certain point though, whatever that is we don't want to cross that line too far. If it-
No, because then it's reportable to the state.
And follow up.
Kind of
with-
like a couple years ago when kindergarten
Yeah,
had 50% of its students out for a year
Yeah, yeah,
or for at a time.
right. Maybe we ask Barb
Yeah,
what that
follow
number,
up with Barb on this.
yeah.
Right.
you know, if
And-
it's 30%, then when we hit 30,
I definitely think this is a great discussion to have and to get more information.
but it's just,
Just not be too lax on the disinfectant.
yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
right, yeah, yeah, we have to
I don't know if
be
you just,
diligent.
I don't know if you have a
with that.
daily reminder, because if you every day say, hey, guys, make sure you know, wash your hands or sanitize. Pretty soon it just goes, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, what about like before and after meals? You know what I mean? Like, are they, I don't know, are they being asked to wash their hands? Or is there like a station we can set up? I don't know how much those stations cost. So for instance, like when you walk in Walmart,
Yeah, there's,
there's, you know, how many people I see just go because it's easy, it's
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
And they.
I
they
think
have-
most
they
of 'em-
have
I think there's
sanitizers on the-
sanitizers,
Is there?
yeah,
On the silverware carts.
I don't
Which is
know.
good.
And a
Yeah.
year ago, you could only buy one of those packets at a time.
Right.
But I know we can get those at a much higher rate right now, so.
Yeah.
and then we could use our grant to buy
Yes.
that stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I just, that's something easy that,
Mhm.
you know, and then we say, hey, if we keep doing this, you know, we won't
I'm
have.
preaching forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got
I
your
know,
cold- common cold and flu.
right,
Wash
yeah,
your hands.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Don't cough and sneeze. It's basic respiratory etiquette.
Yeah, I know, but
I think after
So
we're more scared and children really don't want to wear masks, I think it is more effective
eh,
right now.
I don't know if you threaten, hey, if you do this, maybe we can push the mask thing off.
Off a little bit more.
Right, I don't know.
but part of it's a matter of what they hear from home and how much they believe in this.
That's true.
Some people that don't even believe that COVID is a thing.
Yeah, oh, I know.
But they have,
So, you know,
they
Yeah,
have their right. We can't dog on them for that.
No.
That they have that right.
I've talked to other schools and we're probably doing a little bit more than some.
Yeah.
And I feel comfortable right now. I mean, things
They
can
do,
change.
Especially if they keep sanitizing their hands and surfaces.
I don't even wanna, you know, our athletic teams, you know, been going for a while.
We don't want to jinx that one.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, I think we just, yeah, stay with,
Okay.
But yeah,
stay the
definitely
course
borrow
with what we're
Barb
doing
and-
now, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
Talk to,
kind of find a number. We need some sort of jumping off point, I
Yes.
guess.
All right.
is that good? Amy?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
okay.
Thank
School
you.
board-
Thank you
school
very
board
much.
Member comments.
I'm glad we're back. I feel a
I
little
know.
normal.
It's great to.
Yeah.
The night of open house, when I was just standing out here listening to the noise,
It was nice.
it was
Yeah.
just like, wow, there's some, normalcy. And then now the kids, I mean, it's just neat to see them saying hi and waving in the hallway and
The-
just trying to get sneaky about running and seeing me and they stop.
Yeah,
It's just the normal
yeah,
stuff.
it's the good, that's the good
Teachers
stuff.
too,
That's the good stuff.
principals, yeah, running and all.
I know some of my football players didn't do so well last year with online. And they said, don't worry, coach, if we're in school, I'm gonna do way better. That online thing was not
It's
for
hard.
for me.
yeah,
So I mean, they're happy to be back,
They are.
you know. And I have discussions with some of those kids all the time, you know, and they're like, no, I'm way easier this year.
And on that note, so we met today with the high school in that 2 o'clock, and they appreciate that so much, just the 2 o'clock end time, just time to do things as a group. They met and they are going to, they set the advisories. So, and then Heather is going to set, so if Mr. Hagan has these 10 kids, he's gonna have a class, no grade, but then he'll be able to check their grades. And then if one is faltering, he can go reach out to them at a specific time. So,
They have a set of questions they have to ask
Oh,
the
yep.
students every single week, each student, and then in the portal, they'll actually mark it as like turned in. Because that's what
And write
portal's set
comments.
up for, which is just telling you, the parents, if you check it, like, yep, they were met with that week. But just to keep in mind that sometimes teachers have to sub during their supervisory, so they may not meet with students because we're low subs.
but what they're looking at is grades, career planning, looking at the planner,
Mental health.
are they mental health, and just checking in and having that an adult in the building that can connect and reach out if they need to.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How has our response been from families getting signed up?
Yeah.
for
I need to
Student
be signed up.
software and
To-
like knowing they can go on and
Is it
check
called
grades
Portal?
and.
Yeah, the
It
portal.
is, I know you sent a high school one and there was a ton of recipients, because we can see the recipient count. The elementary is still really low because the elementary count is low. So right now, things are still going home paper and portal. So both pushes. We're still pushing the elementary.
And there's an
te-
app I can get on my phone?
Yes, there's an app. and it's
So,
lovely.
and teachers in the elementary, do they send,
I didn't know that.
emails from their email
Teachers
accounts?
also are sending messages.
but is it through their email or through the portal?
A lot of teachers are creating email for their classroom, but if we can get all parents on, then they can just send it through the portal, and it's 1,000 times easier for the teachers.
So is something gonna get sent out to us, like, like with instructions on how to,
Oh,
Get
like how
signed
to
up
do.
for-
Well, and the thing
Yeah,
I was
that's a-
talking
yeah.
about is I didn't know there was an app until you said it at a board meeting that I was here. I
Yeah,
said, I would
right.
have gotten this app 3 years
I just
ago.
think
had
there's
I
so
known
many
this.
We could-
features
We
that
could probably do a video. and so-
are,
Yeah.
people could be taking advantage of that they don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just,
Carrie,
Constellation.
when they get set up, there is an instruction sheet showing, this is where you go to log in, and it's got, it doesn't have a ton of pictures on it, but it shows this is what you can
kids all
check,
went to a
this
school.
is where you go. So when they initially get set up, they have that
When who initially gets set up, like. what-
parent
The parent.
with their portal.
I didn't even remember I said before. Remember I messaged
Yeah,
you.
so we
Right,
could think
but-
of something, video
Yeah.
to next, and there might be even the
How do you spell it?
videos they've already made
Spell
up that show.
Yeah, I mean, that would
So,
be-
Infinite campus.
POR.
Isn't that on the web?
Is
I
that it?
actually just did a video on how to do a federal report and
Oh.
Infinite Campus.
Here,
It
it looks
was
like this app.
very easy. I was like, oh, this is
Infinite
way
Campus.
easier than I thought. it was
Yeah.
gonna be.
Portal.
Yeah,
And
so
then
you
it'll
type
be-
in Infinite Campus, there's one for parents.
Oh, is it under
students.
implement?
You'll need a really, really, really long activation key in order to get your app on.
Oh, great.
But
But
Never
yeah, I think
mind.
that'd be
Once you
great.
have
you
to
want it
log
all.
in,
Oh, I
so
do. I
it's
wanted.
You don't, like, you just have to put it in the app, but when you initially get it up, there's like a
Oh,
long
infinite-
activation key they have to put in.
It's portal. The one with the
Remember
P,
that
yep,
all?
there's a S1 too
Yeah.
for students to do. That's the one you want.
The student one?
So
No, you want the parent
What about
one.
the parent?
P for parent.
I just got
Do
it.
they have Infinite Campus, the students on their iPads?
Mhm.
Yep, do they? I should know this as a mother.
Well, and there's a
I do not
student
know this.
app.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
glad
I'm
you're
asking,
asking
like,
this
yeah.
because she's got way younger kids.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, does Jake come to school? I don't even know.
no,
Really? I'm just kidding.
Most of the 612 have it signed up, but a lot of them have been emailing me the last couple days. Forgot
Good.
my login, I forgot my login, I forgot my login.
Okay.
I ran a report and most of them have it. There's maybe only 30 kids who
And can
maybe
you
don't
see
have it.
which parents don't have it with those children? Is that a report
There's
that
a
you can
different
run
report I
that you
have to
could?
run, yeah.
But you,
But there's not
That's
a
what we
lot
have
on
to
the
do
list
harder.
anymore.
Right.
yeah, we did,
yeah.
you know,
Not that you don't want, I don't want more work, I know you guys are busy.
What's it
I-
under?
I
What
ran
school
a report
district?
this
Do we have to
summer
put a number?
on which
there are certain
parents-
points
Are
though
we
that,
allowed public school?
I'm pretty sure that you just.
Oh,
Sorry.
What's this asking my district?
Sorry.
name?
You ran a report that don't.
I
have
I ran
it.
a report this summer. on
Maybe
which
it's Lyon
parents
High
did
School.
not have it.
Well, our
They
name
did
is,
not have it, or at least
I know, but it would be.
like
Okay,
one
so-
parent didn't have it.
We will
Yep,
work
we're
on
working
that, right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Parent
Okay.
portal forms and all.
I do have a
those
question
counties,
before you
there
get
was
into
not
that.
one parent
oh wait,
that had it.
Well,
Some of them have come
Straight
back, some
line.
of them have not.
Okay.
So.
I'm
Maybe
in Minnesota.
hopefully in the next week, I can start emailing the parents again, you need
Was
to
it
get
too
this,
formal?
we're getting rid of our text wire, we're not gonna be doing that
Just
anymore.
allow.
so one of the
Unless
things
it's an
that
absolute emergency.
that have come up is that when we send out a message to the parents, so we can select either that the parent gets only one per one per child in email, or so you might, or I would get 3 of them,
Right.
or you can select to just override just one per family.
You can
I
get
kind of
3 emails.
debated, I don't, there's some advantages to having both, so that, both options. But I don't want to, you know, my wife even asked, why did I get 3 emails?
So Tammy can set up her own.
Well, it's because I
Okay.
clicked on that. So what would you guys as parents prefer? Would you prefer just one email?
Yeah.
What was the reasons? Because you do it in Austin does all, they send it per child.
This is up to the parents.
Oh, it is.
You go into your own personal settings on the app. So when I go into mine, I say that I want attendance to be notified via text message. But like school announcements or emergencies, I want those to come out email, phone, and text. And I have 3 kids, so I get 3 phone calls, 3 emails, and 3 text messages with the exact same information.
Right.
What program do they use?
It's the same.
Oh,
So-
so I can do that.
You can go
I didn't
into,
know
I can
that.
show you after this
But
too,
if I-
but I can make the how-to video to show that.
But if I was gonna click on the one per student, does that override a family's choice?
It goes out to whatever the parent contact says.
Oh, so it's a non-issue then.
But you can,
Yeah, I believe-
you send out something out via portal to send it to just one per family or one per student when they send it.
Yeah,
out.
To me, it makes sense to do it one per family,
I
but
know.
it just, because I don't want, I mean,
But then they don't miss it and they can't say they didn't get it.
That's true.
that's the advantage of sending it straight.
Just saying.
It's pretty easy
That
to
is
not
true.
make the second or third copy.
Well, there may be days where I may have to send out to event. It might go to, 6-12, and the next one is just to the junior class. And I'm feeling, if you're getting 6 emails, you have a tendency of missing what the second
Yes.
one, so
There is
Right.
extreme
I think maybe-
satisfaction in deleting things,
there is.
so.
Great,
Swipe.
so I
Said
think,
it was an incorrect.
I think leaning towards just
username and
one per
password.
family would be,
What does that mean?
okay.
You
Okay.
don't
Oh, I probably have to say new user,
Anyone else? Any other comments?
technology.
Anybody? No? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Carl, is there a second? Dave, all those in favor?
I.
Aye. Adjourned at 7:18.
What's my activation
Bye,
key?